All right, we're going to add a little bit of this dusty stuff here. So I'm going to make a new layer. We will make a fill layer. I'm going to turn off everything except color here. And I think that this purple here is completely unrealistic, so we can just sort of get kind of close to it, and then I'm going to just kind of desaturate it and make it a little bit darker maybe. And we can kind of see what happens with this. I'm going to add a black mask, and I'm going to come over to my smart masks and look for, here we have dust soft edges. I want something that's actually in the cavities, right? Because the edges are on the outside and the cavities are on the inside. So let's just kind of take a quick glance here. Sand cavities, that might be interesting. Let's see what that does. Looks a little noisy, but it's kind of there. So we'll keep that one in mind. If we need it. Maybe soft dirt. That's looking a little more promising. But it's very subtle, so we can take a look at our mask here. And hop over to the mask itself. Look at our generator. So we have our dirt level, which we can increase a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and say use triplanar, so we're not stuck with whatever's going on with the UVs. We have edge masking, so if we turn that up we should see less in the edges, and if we turn it down we should see a little more on the edges. Probably where it is fine. And then crunch scale, it's not really intuitive. You would kind of expect it to have a little bit of a different behavior. It kind of just seems like it's iterating through completely different versions. So this is okay. It's showing up out here a little bit, but I don't hate it. You know, it looks kind of dirty. But I do kind of want to get something that's going to be a little bit more specific into the crevices, specifically kind of along here. So let's see if we can find something else. So we have this occlusion strong. So let's go ahead and drop that in and see what happens. Still not super strong, but there's probably something we can play with here in the curvature. Maybe get it a little bit more sensitive. Doesn't look like it. So we can see our mode here is cavities. It can also be edges, both, or it just sort of ignore it. So we definitely want to stick with cavities. Right now the blends is set to add, which I think is probably fine. We can try lighten. That doesn't seem to do too much. Let's try it over here, see what happens. So there's our dirt. And there is our, whatever this one was, I forget already. And that's more than I'm looking for. So I think there might be a way that we can come over, we can reduce the contrast a little bit. This one we can actually just reduce the opacity. It's looking better. But it still kind of feels like this, when the boundary is so consistent, it feels very procedural. Whoops, it looks like I must have deleted one on accident. So I'm going to add a filter. And I actually want the dirt to be on top because I don't want to smooth out the dirt. I like what the dirt's doing. But I'm going to turn it off for just a second. Here is this. I'm going to increase the opacity a little bit more. And for the filter, I'm going to use a blur. Let's see how that works with our, probably like an add or a multiply. There we are. So once that's multiplied in, it does need to be walked back a little bit. We're still not getting like the perfectly sort of graceful shadowing around there. So we can try, got a few more minutes, we could try one more thing. Maybe one more mask here. In worst case scenario, I suppose we could try painting it, but that's always like the last ditch effort if you really have to, because it's just limited. You can't really do as much with it. I think I probably already threw this one on there, but I'm going to try it again. Maybe not. Yeah, we're still, there's just something about that edge right there, that outer edge that I was actually trying to get, that doesn't seem like it's all that interested in being gotten, so we're just going to leave it alone. That's looking kind of cool. It's starting to get a little bit of a dumpstery vibe there. Not that a dumpster is specifically what I was going for, but that's kind of how that read to me, you know, back of a school bus or something. All right, so I'm going to do one more thing with the color here. I want, in addition to a faded out version, I want something that has a little more saturation to it. A little bit darker. And then we'll add a black mask. And let's just find something that might be kind of interesting. Moisture, see what that one does. Not super intense. So let's see what this one's all about. That's kind of cool. All right, so that one was Rust Ground. And it feels a little bit much, maybe. But I still kind of like it, so I'm going to add a paint. Or maybe not a paint, I'm going to add a fill. Just so I can punch some of it back with a grunge. I keep gravitating towards that leaky one there. What's this look like? That's probably pretty good. So we'll grab this, set it to 2, and I'm going to do, so we've already got UV projection. Probably a little more than that. Let's see what 6 looks like. And I'm going to set it to subtract. So if I make it some crazy color, you know, it really jumps out. That's actually not too bad. You can get a little bit crazy. You know, if I'm trying to sort of stay within the guidelines of my materials here. Just a little bit different. And I definitely want to turn off the height for that. I really just want it to be a little bit, just a little bit of a different thing. So we have 3 colors here, right? We've got our base color, and then we have like a sun fade, and then we have something where it's just a little bit more saturated, just to get a nice variation on that. Our metal is looking okay. It's maybe, I mean, the paint's looking okay. It's a little bit beat up. Maybe come back in and, you know, heal some of this stuff. Let me see. I'm not sure if that was the right one or not. It might be this one. Yeah, it's probably not the right brush though. So anyway, we're at 9 minutes, and we can always come back in and tweak some of the stuff as is necessary. But for now, I think that's looking fine. That's looking kind of cool. You know, it feels like it's had a little bit of history to it. It's been out in the field, so to speak. So in the next video, I think we'll just maybe take a look at what's going on back here and try to figure out what that looks like.